Okay, I think we figured some stuff out. Whoa, till I bumped the trigger. What's going on, guys? We got something a little different for you today. What we're going to be going over today is how to set up our Arccaptain MIG 200 to run a spool gun on MIG aluminum. A couple months ago, Arccaptain reached out to me and they asked if I needed anything for my machine or if I was interested in anything else. And I did mention that I was interested in trying their spool gun because I knew this machine was spool gun capable. So they sent me a spool gun. Today we're going to pull it out, we're going to unbox it, we're going to take a look at it, we're going to hook it up to the machine, we're going to test it. As long as everything runs good, we will be using it to weld our aluminum stairs up. So let's dive right into this. Let's take a look at it and see what we got. Looks like there's a little package with 2 welding tips there. And it does come in a package. The whole assembly is all in one here. Everything looks pretty good. If you've never seen a spool gun, this is what they look like. And it is literally a MIG gun that you can put a spool of wire in. So this here opens up and then you stick a small spool of wire in here and it feeds from here. Now the reason you would want a spool gun is because with aluminum wire, it's so soft that it has a hard time being pushed from inside the welder, running all the way through the liner and the gun, making it through the MIG gun without having malfunctions, bird nesting, kinking the wire, all of the above. So to resolve that issue, that's where the spool gun comes in. So you stick your spool in here and there's actually a set of drive rollers in the gun and it pushes it from here. That way you're only pushing the wire this far versus 10 feet. So everything looks pretty good from what I can tell. There's a clear cover here. You're able to open that up on the gun so that you can access the drive rollers. There is a small liner inside there, so you can disengage your rollers. You can tighten the pressure. So it's a lot like adjusting the drive rollers inside your welder, but it's just a smaller version and it's right here on top of your MIG gun. So it does come with a manual. Comes with a wrench so that you can take the tips off. All right, so let's start getting this hooked up to the machine. We'll get the wire put in and then we'll go from there. All right, so the first thing we want to do is make sure that our wire that is in the welder gets rolled back up on the spool. Hey! That was a rookie move. So you want to make sure you don't ever let go of one of these. I know because I've done it. So you want to make sure you keep your finger on the wire, because if you don't, this whole spool of wire will basically explode and cause a big bird's nest. And then bend that over. Okay. All right, so the wire we're going to be using today is this Lincoln Electric Super Glaze 4043. I picked this up at Home Depot. It was convenient. It was right there. I was already at the store, so I figured we'd try this out. I'm also interested to see how it runs, just because I feel like it's a lot more convenient for a lot of people to just go to a Home Depot and be able to pick up a spool of wire. So hopefully it runs well. So now that our wire's out, we'll go ahead and disconnect our gun. We'll coil this up and put it away. All right, so The connections are all the same. This is what they look like. And then there's just a section on the end of the gun here that you tighten. And then this connection should go into here. And I believe this is the same port where you would attach your connector for a foot pedal. Okay, so we've got our ground cable here. Okay, so we're going to set this up on DC electrode positive for aluminum. And we are going to use argon. I'm looking to see if it'll tell us what kind of settings we want to start with. And it looks like for 3mm, we want to be 17 volts, and whatever WFS is. Wire feed speed, I'm guessing. But I have no idea what the 16 means. So we'll just start there and see how it goes. There is no recommendation on settings for 4043 on this one. And that's what we're using, so we'll see how it goes. This recommends using 5356, which Home Depot doesn't carry. So we'll just see how it goes. It can't hurt nothing. We're just going to try it and see. We are going to run this on 240 volt today just because typically with aluminum you need all the heat you can get, and we can adjust it if we need to, but the more available, the more better. So I'm going to get the power hooked up to this, and then we'll start getting our wire installed into our spool gun. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. So I'm going to hit the mode button here till it says MIG and it shows a spool gun there. So then our settings, we're going to try 17 and then 16 is what it's calling for on the wire speed, which it doesn't go up to, so that's cool. Huh. Not sure what that's all about. So we're going to try 17 volts, and it doesn't go any higher than 14, so I don't know. It doesn't go higher than 14, so we're just going to try it and see what happens. So now I got to get my gas hooked up. So with MIG aluminum, you want to make sure you use an argon. So we're going to get a bottle of argon rolled over here. I'll get my gas line hooked up to the back here and my regulator. Once I get that hooked up, I'll grab a couple pieces of scrap aluminum. So let's get it hooked up and we'll go to that point. All right, so the camera quit recording in the middle of that, so I'll just give you guys a close-up on what I did here. Spool is installed in there. There's a little finger screw right here that's knurled. You loosen that, and then you can pull that and a bushing out, and then you slide your spool in there. I just finger tightened this back down. I think we're good there. And then you're able to run your wire through that little white nozzle looking thing. That feeds it up through here. And then inside the gun, there's your drive rollers. You flip this up, run your wire through there into the liner, lock this back down, and you can see it is feeding. So that's where we're at. Sometimes stuff like this is just trial and error. You got to find out what it likes. So let's give it a try. Whoa. Okay, I think we figured some stuff out. Whoa. Till I bumped the trigger. That one definitely does not count. Here's what I got so far. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. So it looks okay. That's a triple pass there. And then I just ran that bottom one. So it looks like, you can see it's melting the corner there, so it looks like it's getting pretty good penetration. You can see the etching marks on it, so it's cleaning well. When I weld with aluminum, I like to run a whip. That's typically what they teach when you run MIG aluminum, whether it's a push-pull gun or whether it's a spool gun. It's the same process. MIG aluminum, you want to push instead of drag. So you want to push and you want to run kind of a whip. Much better. All right, so I think I've got it dialed in now, and I think this is where the machine likes it, and it's where I like it. So what I've got it set at is 17 volts, and I've got the wire feed speed turned all the way up to 14. So I tried the suggested speed, which is for what I think is 030, which was 15.7 and 14 on the speed. And it was too cold. This is what the first one looked like. You see how humped up that is? It looks like crap. So I went back to the machine. I turned the voltage back up to 17, left the wire feed speed at 14, and this was the result I got. For MIG aluminum, that's pretty dang good. I'm pretty impressed with that. So I'm gonna run a triple pass on there just for fun. When you run MIG aluminum, the way that I like to adjust it, it almost feels like spray transfer. If you don't know what spray transfer is, it's a certain process that you can run when you're MIG welding, but it runs really hot, and it basically causes a great big crater, puddle, and it kind of feels like it's running a little too hot for how fast you're feeding the wire, but that's just part of the process. That's typically how I like to set up my MIG aluminum. And I like it to look a lot like spray transfer too. So I like the crater, the puddle, to be melting before my wire gets to it and starts filling it back up. Hopefully that makes sense, but we'll run a couple more and I'll give you guys a look. I did just turn my gas up a little bit because I feel like it was a little low. So I turned it up to about 18 CFH, so let's see what happens. That actually really helped. And I'll be honest, it's running really well. Once again, I'm pretty blown away. For a welder of this size and this price, for it to be able to put out welds like this on a spool gun, I'm pretty impressed. Well, hopefully you can see that okay. It's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna run 2 more on this side. We'll run a triple pass on this one, see what it looks like. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. Now granted, I haven't run it on 110 volts yet, but with the way that's running, I wouldn't bat an eye to take this machine onto a job site to do a welding repair on, let's say, you know, something like 3/16 or lighter, like a tank repair or a patch or something like that. The way this is running, I would be comfortable making a repair with that. Again, you got to remember, this is an entry-level machine. This is a great machine for somebody that's looking to get into welding, that's looking to be able to practice out of their own garage. And the more I run it, the more I feel like it really is a good option for anybody out there that wants to learn. I feel like it's functional. The thing that's amazing to me about this machine is it's such a diverse machine. I mean, you're able to run aluminum MIG with spool gun, stick weld, DC TIG weld, and short arc MIG. The only thing you can't do with this is TIG aluminum. That's pretty impressive for the price point, for the size of the machine. I'm impressed. I think where we've tested the machine and I've kind of dialed in where I want to weld with it, All that's left to do now is to try it out on an actual part. So I am going to use this to do some welding on the staircase. One of the good parts about that is with MIG aluminum, you're able to weld it a lot faster. And as long as I can make it look like this, so that it's clean, it looks professional, I think it's going to be a win for us. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you guys were able to see that a machine of this caliber is still able to do some pretty amazing things. That's how I feel. I gotta say, I'm impressed. I'm gonna put this spool gun to work on the staircase project. If you guys are interested in the Arccaptain MIG 200, check them out. Make sure you use my promo code FREEDOM to get yourself a discount. I noticed that they just came out with a little inverter stick and TIG machine, so that'll be cool. If you guys are looking to get into welding and start learning and do it all for a competitive price, check them out. That's going to wrap this one up. Appreciate you guys watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. See you on the next one. We'll grab a couple pieces of scrap. Once I get that hooked up, I'll grab a couple. I went back to the machine, turned it all the way up to 17. No. I went back to the machine, I turned it up to 17. Left the, so I went back to the machine, I turned the wire feed speed, no. When you run MIG aluminum, you want it to look a lot, it typically looks a lot like, if you guys are looking to get into a machine for a very